Members of Nigeria's cabinet engaged in a serious interaction with the private sector yesterday to discuss the competitiveness of Nigeria's business environment. I caught up with Nigeria's Industry, Trade and Investment Minister, Olusegun Aganga, and I started by asking about the country's plans to formalize the arrangement with the OECD that will enhance Nigeria's competitiveness. Take a look.
The issue about the OECD is about the policy framework for investment, which is the biggest multilateral system that's been used globally in so many countries. It covers about 10 policy areas and asks about 82 questions, which you have to address. And when I say 10 policy areas, they're looking at investment policy, investment promotion policy, tax policy, governance, human capital development, all the policies that are related to attracting investment into the country. What it does is that when you answer those questions based on the framework and you develop the right policies, it will lead to a competitive, robust environment for foreign and local investors, large and small investors, public and private investors. So the idea is to continue to improve our competitiveness. When we have that policy framework in place, which covers those 10 areas and answers those 82 questions, Nigeria will be a far better environment in terms of our competitiveness. And we expect to finish that before the mid-time this year, before half year this year.
So when you look at how World Economic Forum has ranked Nigeria in terms of competitiveness, you may see some level of improvement, but of course, there's still a long way to go there. Can you just give us a sense of the targets of the government in respect to this?
The reason why you see those, again, this was based on discussions we've had. Now, when you look at those surveys are actually completed by the CEOs in this country, not by World Economic Forum. And unfortunately, what has happened in the past is that there has been a sort of information gap, knowledge gap between the government and the private sector. That it's not very clear to them what the government has actually done or is doing to address these issues. Most of what they had today, they were hearing for some of them for the first time. The effort which the Minister of Health has put into it to make sure that health is very, very important to competitiveness of any country. To see what the effort they've put to date and how that would drive our competitiveness was new to a lot of people. If you look at education also, all the efforts they're putting in terms of to make sure that access, quality of education, that education is relevant to the economy, all the changes, the review of syllabus, most people are hearing for the first time today. So I think now that we have managed to bridge that gap to some extent, and we need to do it more regularly, I think it will make it easier for the private sector to understand, say, what the government has done or is doing to address that. If you look at the issue of starting and running businesses, for example, we've taken some measures already. For example, we made some changes to the CAC regulation, which means that if you want to register a business in Nigeria, you don't actually need to go through a lawyer anymore. If you look at the number of businesses that were registered last year, that's a savings of about 1 billion naira to the private sector. If you look at online registration, which we're thinking of bringing on board, which means that you can register your company anywhere you are, whether local or internationally. Once the system is in place, that will save another 3 to 5 billion naira. So we've quantified each one. And our ambition is very big. We want to move very quickly up the ladder.
But what's your target, though? Can you give us a target? See, I recall that the ICT minister did mention something about being in the 25th percentile, or the upper quarter of that.
We expect to be that. Don't forget that other countries are doing the same thing. We just want to do far much more than they are doing. And I think our bid is to move up, I think, 76 points or ranks, put it that way, before the end of this administration. But we are very ambitious about it. And there's no reason. If you were in the room today, if you heard what the ICT minister had to say, the Minister of Education had to say, the Minister of Health had to say, Minister of Transport, Minister of Works, Minister of Finance, everyone. If you heard what they had to say today, it's obvious that we are on the right track.